Hi, welcome back to the Recovery Daily podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abbasi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. That last name is starting to roll right off the tongue. Okay, so we're going to start off today by just recapping this month's listener challenge, and I will provide you with a writing prompt for the day, and then we'll get into the topic of the day, which is kind of a funny topic. It's serious, but a little funny. Anyway, so this month's listener challenge is the Serenity Prayer Daily Reflection. So you are invited to recite the Serenity Prayer and reflect on your day, applying the Serenity Prayer to whatever is going on in your life. So how do the prayer's themes of serenity, acceptance, courage, and wisdom manifest in your life on a daily basis? So to aid in this introspection, I'm going to offer a writing prompt every day to just spark some of that and encourage you to write about your feelings, identify moments of acceptance, and when you've recognized courage and serenity in your day. Okay, I just wanted to repeat it in case it wasn't clear yesterday, or somebody missed yesterday. So, So you'll recite the Serenity Prayer, and then your writing prompt for today is reflect on a moment today when you practiced acceptance, and what did it feel like? Easy enough. Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about love, but I'm going to be talking about love and expressing it to our friends. And this is something that has changed inside of me over the course of my sobriety. And it's a little humorous to me what I felt about it at the beginning of my sobriety compared to how I feel now. So expressing love to friends, to sponsors, sponsees in recovery, to fellow people in stroke recovery. You know, I've been getting to know lots of people in the vestibular disorder community, in the blind community. So how do I, defining what those feelings are for these people? And right now, in these other communities, I'm just getting to know them. But I'm thinking about what this was like for me when I first started my sobriety journey and getting to know people in AA. So going back to growing up, I love you was only reserved for my mom. That was the only person I said I love you to. And it really was the only person I hugged also. It wasn't natural for me to say I love you to anyone else. In my brother and my sister, we didn't say I love you to each other. I don't recall that because I kind of recall this phase of our lives starting to say that. Like the first time I heard my brother say that to me was a big deal for me. Like I noted it. And maybe it could very well be that in sobriety, it's the first time I heard it. You know what I mean? It could be an internal thing. That is my own issue, like that I didn't hear it before, something like that. I don't know. But so really my mommy was the person that I said I love you to. And it felt strange and uncomfortable to say it to anybody else. anybody else. I even remember first saying I love you to my like romantic partners, and how it was like a big deal to go to that phase, you know? But it's funny now because I feel, I guess, so much more for the people around me, the people who are traveling this road with me, whether they're in recovery or not. So the first year I was sober, my sponsor would always say, I love you. And I deliberately would not respond with I love you back because I thought it was weird that she loved me. Not that I thought anything was wrong or strange about her. I just felt like it was weird that she could say that to me, that she felt compassionate for me and my circumstances. That's what I mean as weird. Nothing else other than that. And as I've been traveling through recovery, I am completely understanding why she was able to say that to me when I barely knew her. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. Like I said, I deliberately did not say I love you back, hoping that others would catch on and stop saying it to me because it was uncomfortable. And spoiler alert, they did not stop saying it. So the saying in the AA program is that we will love you until you can love yourself. And I mean, I knew what that meant. But I didn't want anyone telling me that they loved me. You know, it's fine if they felt that way. You know what I mean? But I didn't want anybody to tell me that. That's how I had isolated myself. It's a form of isolation. And I felt awkward. I felt icky because I didn't know these people. I mean, I understood that we're all fighting the same illness underneath the surface, but there's still that surface that I wasn't willing to get past. And the more I listened to other people's shares in meetings, the more I was open to looking past that comfortable distance that I was keeping between me and other people. And I began to hear like what I felt were my unique poetic thoughts in my head. I started hearing that stuff coming out of their mouths. And over time, it's like I started to feel their pain. Or maybe it was that I could see that they felt my pain. You know, whichever direction it was, we were all suffering in silence, separately, but together. You know what I mean? Now we're together, and now we know we're learning how to talk about it and articulate the pain. And the more that we hear and we share, we realize that we have the same pain. No matter what's going on the surface, no matter what that comfortable distance is that I'm keeping between them and me, there is something that's growing inside of me, and that is love for fellowship, for community, for belonging. And it took me quite some time to understand that multifaceted nature of love in sobriety, but really it began to extend out of sobriety. Once I started to feel a part of this community, this recovery community, I was able, like I said earlier, I became open to being a part of other things, being a part of humanity, because I had been isolating over the years more and more, so that because I didn't feel like a part of humanity. I felt unique. And once I recognized that there are other people like me in recovery, I started to really open my eyes to there are other people like me everywhere. But this has taken years for me to develop this. I mean, I haven't even been sober very long in the whole scheme of things. It's been 7 years. Next month, it will be, at the end of the month, it will be 8 years. If I keep doing this thing one day at a time. So I don't even think, like, I look at my relationship with my husband now, and I honestly believe that the love that I feel for him now, I wasn't capable of that when I was drinking. I didn't even understand that this was possible for me in my life. I saw it in other people's lives. I didn't know I could feel that way. But I can. But I needed to remove alcohol from the picture, and I needed to clean out a bunch of junk out of my dark place, in order to be able to surface that. The only love that I fully understood when I was drinking, of course, was, again, my mom. And that was just my whole life. That was it. My mommy. But when I had my kids, that was another love that I fully understood. Alcohol or not, it didn't matter. Like, it was there. My love for my mom and my love for my kids. And that has not altered, again, alcohol or not. It's just without the alcohol, now I'm present and I'm able to be the mom, the daughter that I always wanted to be for them. I'm able to display my love, demonstrate it. Also, my brother and my sister, back then, we didn't say that stuff. Like, I don't remember hugging my brother and my sister. I remember scrapping with my brother, pulling each other's hair and stuff like that. But I don't remember being terribly affectionate back then. But we are now, for sure. There's I love yous being tossed around now, which I love. And then my dad. I haven't mentioned my dad. Of course, my dad, it's the same thing as my mom. But my dad wasn't around as much, so it's more familiar for me to talk about this when I talk about my mom, because my mom was there like every day, constantly, and it was just this, cocoon of love that I was in. It was my mommy's love. So that's the easiest for me to identify. So in sobriety, Step 12 encourages us to carry the message to others. It was about 4 years of sobriety before I totally started to comprehend or feel what I would describe as love for other alcoholics. And I would say at year 4 is when I started to feel it enough to say it out loud. It felt so good to feel that kind of connection with other people that I wanted to express it out loud. And I wanted the other person in recovery to feel good just like me. And I cherished, or I guess I had gratitude that I was capable of feeling that way for others, for so many others, because I used to be so selfish. And this journey through the meaning of love over the past 7 years mirrors to me the giving and receiving of step 12, walking somebody else through towards and through recovery, and then also receiving that back. So extending compassion and empathy and unconditional love that I received, extending that out to others. I can see now the power of our connections with each other in recovery and the strength of our collective recovery. I have had, I don't want to bring down this episode because I really wanted this to be more uplifting, but there have been several folks that I have lost along the way in recovery. A gentleman that used to sit next to me in my IOP class, a woman that was in my women's meeting on Thursday nights. There was one, I remember her sharing in a meeting out in West Virginia, and then the next week she wasn't there anymore. And it wasn't because she went back out, it's because she passed. And that feeling of loss when I see another person in recovery who didn't make it, it is a true, absolute feeling of losing a loved one. It is. Losing an extended family member. So these friendships that I'm building in recovery, in my program, in these other programs and communities that I'm getting to know, and then the friendships that I'm developing outside of all of that because I have so much strength that I've gotten from the friendship. It's like building, it's growing, it's expanding my network of friends, because the more I have, the more I can have. The better I get at it, the better, the more friends that I can develop. It's just cool. It's cool that I'm like getting all these friends, even with all of these limitations that I have right now. I'm finding a way. Where there's a will, there's a way, they always say. So friendships are obviously invaluable to our growth in life, but I have really seen the benefit in recovery of having a network. And it's just been getting stronger and stronger over this past year. And I think that's because I have a lot more time, full time, to lend to my recovery, as opposed to having a full-time job and then trying to, my life revolved around recovery before. It's not like my recovery, I'd squeeze in my recovery around work. I did. But the most important thing in my life was my sobriety. And the most important thing was that I connected with people in sobriety. And today I have a lot more time to do it. So with friendships and fellowships being so important to our growth and our recovery, why is it, and I can't be the only one because I'm not unique, but why is it that we hesitate so much to tell friends how we feel about each other, that we love each other, and why we love each other. We tend to reserve that for our romantic partners and our family. And sometimes we don't even say it to our family, depending on your family dynamic. But these friendships that we have reduce so much stress and provide us with a sense that we're not alone, even when we're physically not present with each other. Today, when I say I love you to a friend, somebody in the program, I have I have somebody that I went to college with that I'm just overjoyed that she is back in my life. It's unfortunate that the reason that we are back in each other's lives is because we are both recovering alcoholics. But it's also fortunate that we are able to have a strong background of friendship to add this recovery on top of. And although I don't see her every day, I do talk to her every day. And I told her right before the beginning of this podcast, I said, I can't tell you how much it means to me to have you back in my life. And she responded in the same way, that it means a lot to her as well. But I was thinking about it because I was getting ready to do this podcast. But I think that if I wasn't getting ready to do this podcast episode, I would feel that way, but not say it to her. I mean, once in a while we'll say it to each other, but I feel like we don't say it enough to people. I know I don't say it enough to people, and I've been trying to say it more. And then I came up with this idea, like, why don't I spread the love through one of my podcast episodes and encourage all of us to do a little more I love you. So when I say I love you, I'm practicing step 12 in a way. I'm telling my friend that they're not alone. I can love a stranger today. I can meet someone in sobriety, in stroke recovery, in blind and low vision and vestibular disorder communities, and I can love them because I see them, I see in them part of myself. My words can build bridges of understanding and support between us and our recovery. And it really, this whole idea is just a testament to the expansive nature of love that is nurtured in sobriety. It's something that I want to bring across to all of these communities that I'm developing, that I'm becoming a part of, I should say. So I ran across a LinkedIn post today, and it was about a little boy. I shared it. If you're friends with me on LinkedIn or Facebook, I shared it on my accounts. So it was a little boy who was having a birthday. He was traveling alone, and he was on an airplane. So I'm sure he was feeling less than celebratory and probably a little lonely. And the flight attendants creatively came together, brought the entire airplane together by having all the passengers shut their windows. So they got on the loudspeaker thing and asked all of the passengers to shut their windows and turn off their overhead lights. And it looked like candles. It was so sweet. And then they all sang happy birthday. And then they asked the little boy to blow out the candles. And at the same time as he blew, all the passengers turned off their overhead lights. Like he blew out the candles. It was super sweet. Yes, I watched the video. I couldn't help it. And that's stuff that I do that I shouldn't, that hurts my head, but I do it anyway because I suck sometimes and I just am a glutton for punishment. But it was so heartwarming. And this is the expansive nature of love that is existent in a community. Whether it is a community that is just a bunch of passengers on the same plane, that's a community. Or if it's a bunch of people that are suffering from the same invisible illness, vestibular disorders, depression, anxiety, stroke recovery, together as a community, we can heal. That little boy needed human beings. That's what he needed. He needed to have a sense of belonging on that plane because otherwise he was alone. And it was just beautiful. So I couldn't help but share it. And we do forget the power of our words. I was thinking that so many times we say, I know when I talk to my dad, hi Dad, if you're listening, we'll get off the phone and we'll say, love you, bye. You know what I mean? And it's like a casual kind of sign off thing. It's like, it's a little dismissive almost. It's not that I'm feeling dismissive, but it is kind of interesting how we do it before we hang up. It's not just my dad. It's just an example that I'm thinking of right now. But there are times when like I'll text my mom and I'll say, Mom, I love you so much. I was just thinking of you. And it's just out of nowhere. Like I try to do that when somebody crosses my mind. I try now to reach out to them immediately. It's just a thing that that I do now, because it's good for me and it's helping me to stay connected to people. And I've found that more often than not, when I reach out to somebody, they either say, hey, I was just thinking about you, or they say, wow, I really needed that right now. So I try to make a habit of doing that. And, so friendships really can encompass so many different types of love. I'm not going to get into it, but I was doing some research and they were talking about the ancient times. They had like 3 words for love, and one was like the love you feel for a friend, one was a love you feel for a romantic partner, and another one was one you feel for your child or something like that. And a friend really can cross over all of these, right? Because my children are my best friends. My husband is my best friend. You know what I mean? So, I think our reluctance to use I love you, may be a modern challenge, saying I love you to our friends, but the need to express it is still here as it was years and years, in the making. I don't know what it used to be like if people said if friends said that I love you more back then, or they say it more now. I have no idea. I didn't look into that. But just saying it, just hearing it combats depression and makes us happier. So why don't we do it more easily? In recovery, it helps us propel each other forward when we can't seem to take those steps on our own. There are some days I'll go to my morning meeting and I will express to the group, I'm having a hard time. I think I shared that today, actually. I was like, I haven't really been sharing much. I'm really spun up in my head about my upcoming appointment with the otolaryngologist, and I'm going to get my vestibular exam tomorrow, hopefully. And so I'm unable to really wrap my head around too much to share. So, but when I share something like that, it's like people respond and say, we love you. You know, I got a text from somebody that was in the meeting telling me that they're sorry I'm going through this and praying for continued patience and peace for my appointment, and told me I'm so strong and I can and will get through whatever the end result will be. She even went as far as to say that I was her hero and have overcome so many obstacles and continue to work on my program and show up and smile every day, and that she's here for me. And that's what I needed to hear. You know, and I wouldn't have been able to hear that if I didn't share this morning that I'm having a hard time. So, we need each other, you know, we need each other to survive and be happy. We can survive. We can walk through life, you know, without necessarily being as joyful as we could possibly be, without anyone. But to really survive and grow and flourish, we need each other. Telling a friend in recovery that I love you, especially one with any of these invisible illnesses, like I said, cognitive disorders, alcoholism, anxiety, depression, vestibular disorders. By saying that we love them, it's an affirmation of their strength and resilience. And it's an act of solidarity, acknowledging their fight and letting them know that you don't have to do it alone. Just by saying just those 3 words. And so why do we hesitate to make people feel this way? We can challenge ourselves to say these things out loud. Tell someone that you love them and why you love them. Make it an experiment. I ran across a woman who decided to do that. She spent like 3 months, and she decided whenever she felt like she loved somebody, she was going to tell them. And she said she was really surprised to hear how people responded. She wasn't sure how they were going to respond because we don't do that a lot, you know? Maybe, you know, it's different for everybody. Some people wear their emotions on their sleeves. Some people don't. So in recovery, we learn to love ourselves, and in doing so, open our hearts to love others more freely and deeper than I ever thought was possible. So make space for it in your day-to-day and make it intentional to acknowledge, I feel a little, you know, like my heart, what's the Grinch says? I felt like my heart swell or something like that. Like make it an intentional, I should say, to acknowledge that feeling and say it out loud to whoever you feel it for. Don't get yourself in trouble though. No one deserves to navigate their pain in isolation. And so I'm hoping that by being more articulate about how I'm feeling for my friends and strangers, people in recovery, that I'll help lift them and, propel them a little bit further in their recovery. So thank you for joining me today on the Recovery Daily podcast. Wish me luck at my appointment tomorrow. I can't wait to update you tomorrow. And I'll talk to you then.